Hello everybody. For this session, we're going to have a real exciting topic here. It's called Dynamo in Civil 3D. And really what it's about is just maximizing efficiency in Civil 3D. So I'm Nick Turner, Civil Engineering Design Technology Specialist here at MGAEC. And today's session we're going to go through everything about Dynamo in Civil 3D, kind of a sort of a brief introduction, but we're also going to go through 3 or 4 scripts here and really give you an idea of how it's done and kind of a taste of how you can use it in your workflows and how you can kind of disseminate it out to the rest of the company. So Dynamo is sort of a newer thing, but if you have Civil 3D 2020, it's right there in your software and you can start using it and playing around with it. So sections we're going to go through today here is sort of an intro to Dynamo. We're going to talk about the fundamentals for its use in Civil 3D, the processes in Civil 3D, and some solutions, as well as some extended resources where you can find out more. So we're going to talk about what this is. So it's basically this visual scripting program. So it allows you to do sort of an API type of software programming, but you can do it with just some visual scripts and dragging and dropping these pieces of code around. And it allows you to compose algorithms, process data, generate geometry. You can essentially generate code without having to know how to code. So it's this visual programming, set-by-set actions. It's actually based on this Python language, which is pretty common API for different software like an ArcGIS, or for Civil 3D, or many others use Python. And it's interoperable, so it works in Revit, works in Formit, works in Civil 3D. Like I said, 2020, it's included right in your software under the Manage tab. And it's not in AutoCAD, vanilla AutoCAD yet. Maybe someday it will be. And it's really about a community of other users and contributors. And I really can't stress enough how important it is to sort of get involved with that community on the forums that we'll talk about at the end here, where people really are active, sharing data, sharing these codes they did, and it's really a great community. Now, what can it do? So Dynamo can assist in doing many things. So you can export, import Civil 3D to and from Excel, have many scripts that select different points along alignments and things like that to push right to an Excel CSV that my surveyors can take in the field. It facilitates design documentation of complex geometries. Can automate a lot of those mundane tasks, as we talked about, things that maybe take a 60-minute task and turn it into 60 seconds when you really automate this through Dynamo. You can create everything, modify everything, calculate everything. So essentially, if you can dream it up, you can likely do it with Dynamo because it is that software programming type of thing. So let's talk first just a little bit about the nodes, and then we're going to go ahead and jump right into our first simple script here. But essentially here, number 1, laying out, this is a node. So this is that little piece of code that's in a visual type of node here. And then the things here are wires, where you wire this together to other items. So the 2 main pieces here are just the node and the wires, and it flows left to right. So you can see in these point by coordinates, I just need to tell it a point. So I have a number here, 10 connected to the X, 10 to the Y, and this point comes out here. So just real brief, and now let's go ahead and get into our first simple script. We'll talk more about Dynamo, but I want to kind of just show you a script real quick here. So this is going to be drawing a circle. So let's jump into Civil 3D right here. And as you can see, I'm just in a blank Civil 3D drawing here. And let's go ahead and do a simple draw circle using Dynamo. So I'm going to come up here to my Manage tab. So when we come into manage, if you have 2020 or later, we will have Dynamo here and our Dynamo Player. So we'll get into both of those items and what they're all about. First one we're going to check out is just Dynamo. And what we want to do is draw a circle on this sheet. So I'm just going to start right from scratch on this guy. And we open up and we have our Dynamo interface here. And we can see in our interface we have a bunch of different topics here. So if we kind of expand some of these, have civil objects, alignments, and under alignments I'll have all these different types of things I can grab. I can make some profile names, I can query for some lengths. So the lightning bolt is an action, question mark is a query, and we can go through these different items here and find things, find different ones we want, civil objects, COGO points, corridors, baselines. So a lot of these codes are living in here, and we can look at how to start to use these in our thing. So what I like to do often is come here and just search, because it's tricky to kind of go through all these topics here. So sometimes it's easier to just search. That's kind of what I recommend. So I'm just going to go ahead and start typing circle here. And this is what I want. So we looked at before the lightning bolts in action. The question mark is a query to find data from that. And the plus is to add something. So I'm going to go ahead and add here center, circle by center point radius. So now I see the first thing it wants is the center point. So I'm going to go ahead and start typing in point here. And I have point by coordinates. So I'm going to click that, drop it in here, and these are going to connect here. One thing we want to do down here, we have where it says automatic. I usually like to put that on manual. So automatic means it's just going to keep trying to process this thing as you build it. Manual lets you kind of run this guy here. So next one, we need an X, a Y, and a Z for this point by coordinates. So I'm just going to come in here and start typing number, because I want a number. And we can do a couple different ones. So I could just do a number here, make that something like 5. Or we could do a number slider, kind of like the sliders, because it gives you a little more functionality there. So we can put our number slider here, and we'll do another number slider. Now we want to connect these guys to the X, to the Y, to the Z, and slide these guys. Alright, so now we're telling it what this point is, and then we are putting our point into this center point by radius. So now what's the next thing we need? We need to tell it a radius. So let's just do another number slider for that guy. Drop our number slider in here, connect that to radius, give that a number here, and we can go ahead and rename these. So that can always be a good call here to rename as you go. So I'm just going to rename this node X, and I'll rename this guy Y, and I'll rename this guy here Z. So now we have our X, Y, Z entrances, and the only other thing we need to rename here is radius. And we'll see why these names are important later, so that people who are using this script in Dynamo Player will be able to just input these values quite easily. So the next thing that we need, now that we're drawing essentially a circle, I could run this here, and nothing happens because we haven't told it where to put this circle. So now what I need to do is go in object by geometry. This is a very common command you'll use. I just start typing in object, I get my plus, say create an AutoCAD object from Dynamo Geometry. So when we hover over these, it lets us know what it's about there. So I'm going to go object by geometry. And this is what turns it from just a Dynamo object into something that lives in AutoCAD and in Civil 3D. I'm going to connect circle to geometry because that is my geometry. Then I need a layer. Tell it what layer it's on, and it'll just go ahead and create this layer. I'm going to type in string. So you notice I typed in number to get our Y1 here. String is what you want to type in to get words. So I'm going to go ahead and name this just circle layer, and it's going to create that layer called circle layer. Once it does that, we could go ahead and rename this node as well, calling it layer if we would like. Accept that. And then block here, this is telling it where it wants us to draw this. So there's kind of a key thing here where we want to tell it to put it in the model space of this document. So I'm just going to start typing in model space right here. I get model space, and that's a query, so it's going to find that. We have block to block here. And then I'm going to tell it the current document. So I'll just start typing in document. And we have current document, get the current AutoCAD document. So that's going to be whatever document I have open in the background here. And I'll connect this. So this current document, you use this a lot. You know, most scripts use this current document. So now we started with this circle by center point radius. We told it the point, where it's going to put it. We told it the X, the Y, the Z. We told it the radius of that circle. And then we have this action item here to put it on this layer. Use this geometry for the circle, put it on this layer, and stick it in the model space of this document. So as you can see here, if we shrink this guy down now, there's no circle here. And we can just hit run. And now in our current model space, we will have a circle. And here is our circle. So we'll shrink that guy down. And we now have just circle. So obviously that's a bit of a rigmarole to just draw a circle in AutoCAD here, but we can see how now we'll start to take this to much more advanced type of applications and really automating some more processes. So let's jump back into the slideshow here, and let's talk about a little bit of what we just did. So we have our node here. If I'm here on my left, point by coordinates. So A, that's just the name of it. We looked at how we can rename them. Then if we hover over this name, this top part B here opens up with the description of what type of inputs this particular node requires. And you'll see this will come in handy. If you do get any errors, you can hover over this and it'll tell you what you did right, what you did wrong. So then down here, C on the left here are just the inputs. We drug in those X, Y, Z number sliders on this guy. If we hover over like this X here, we'll get D over here. That just kind of tells us what it's looking for. Double just usually means kind of a number. And then default value will be 0. So if we don't put anything in here, usually these nodes will have a default value that it goes to if it doesn't have an input. Then over here on the right is the output. So it's taking all these coordinates and outputting a point. And when we hover over the E here on point, we get F here of point telling it what it is. Down here, G, if we hover over this, then this bottom part, H, pops up that tells us what it is reading. So it'll tell us what these coordinates are when we start to look into searching these Civil 3D objects like surfaces, alignments. When we hover over this G here, H is going to pop up telling us what alignments we've grabbed, what surfaces we've grabbed. This one is just the point on this guy here. And then we right click. We have many options to right click in these. As far as we looked at that right click and renamed the node. Another thing we can do is create an input, which we'll look at when we look at Dynamo Player. So we also have help down here where it's going to tell us some of these items if we need a little help on that node. So let's go ahead and look at some of this graph management. When we did that circle one, we were just kind of throwing those guys up there, but one thing we can do is align these. And then as we get into more complicated ones, one thing you definitely want to do is group them together. If we just draw a selection window just like you would in AutoCAD, you can select a bunch of them, right click, create group, and group these together. So once we get more advanced scripts, you're going to want to really do this kind of graph management. And the other sort of thing we looked at when we did that circle one, we were searching up here, just starting to type in and search. We also looked at how we can expand some of these categories like we did to get some more options showing up under a specific category. And then we looked at how we want to put this usually on manual, you know. Automatics just gets a little weird because it's always trying to process it. So most people always default to manual there. And so the workflow here, as we saw, it's kind of this left to right workflow where we drop the node and then we drew those wires connecting it to another node there. If you want to undo a connection, you actually need to click on the destination node here and drag it out into open space is how you disconnect or delete a wire. So we're moving left to right and dropping in these nodes and connecting them with these wires. So packages, this is very important when we're talking about Civil 3D here. There's one that you definitely need to get. We'll look at here in a second for Civil 3D, which is called the Civil 3D Toolkit. There's various packages that come up, and we just go to the top bar here under Packages, search for a package, and search for a Civil 3D package that we can bring into there. And this Civil 3D Toolkit is one you definitely want to download, and we'll look at a second where to go find that guy, because that's going to actually query a lot of these Civil 3D functions. The other critical thing here is this Dynamo Player. So as we've seen, we were in Dynamo. The next icon next to it is Dynamo Player, and what this allows you to do is create this easily deployable to everyone in the company where they never even have to open Dynamo. They can go click on this Dynamo Player and look at these different inputs to be able to do that. So let's go ahead and jump back into Civil 3D and look at a couple of these things here. So back here in Civil 3D Dynamo interface, let's look at how to find those packages and how to set this up for Dynamo Player. So first thing, my packages right here. I come to Packages tab and search for a package. And one thing you're definitely going to want to do here is search for this Civil 3D Toolkit. So if I just type in Civil 3D here, I get a variety of different packages. And we can kind of tell by the thumbs up, thumbs down, how good the package it is, really. So if I start coming down, here's this one I'm talking about, Civil 3D Toolkit, 55 thumbs up. So we definitely want that one. This one's Civil Connection 2020, 14 thumbs up. That could be a good one as well. This Iterus Civil 3D. Now these are different nodes here that people have written. So there's some good ones in here. The very best one is definitely the Civil 3D Toolkit. It has a great ongoing discussion on the Dynamo BIM forums, so definitely grab that guy. So the other thing to make this work in Dynamo Player is if I right click this, I can select is input here. So we can select it, right click is input, make sure that's selected there, is input, and once I do that, I'll save this guy and close this, and I'll launch my Dynamo Player here, Once Dynamo Player here, I'll come to my circle script, and I click on this little square with a plus thing here under this player. So this has all the scripts available that we've created for our company. And when I click on that, I just get this X, Z, radius, number, so I can come in here and put in whatever inputs I want for this type script. So anyone in my company can run these scripts without having to know anything about it. You know, we could change the X here, we could change the Z, I could make my radius larger, and then I could just hit run again right from here, and it creates a different circle. So anyone in the company can come into this Dynamo Player and really start to run these scripts without knowing anything about doing the actual programming. We'll jump back into the slideshow here, and the second script we're going to show is changing the styles of Civil 3D objects. So now instead of doing this simple circle, we're going to actually go in and query some of these Civil 3D objects that live in our drawing. And what we're going to do is change all those styles with one click. So this could be, you know, our good old surveyor gives us a drawing with everything in standard style, or an outside consultant with different styles than your company. So this could be pipe network styles, this could be profile view styles, alignment styles, surface styles. So anything that comes in, instead of going and fiddling with each of those styles, what we can do with Dynamo is change them all in one shot. So let's jump into Civil 3D in Dynamo and check out how that can be done. So over here back in Civil 3D, I can see this drawing came to me with kind of these random styles. The surface is whatever colors. These are not what my company uses for its general colors here. So what we can do to change all of these, you see I have a surface, I have an alignment, I have some pipe network, I have a profile view, and these are kind of just some random styles. If I click on this guy, his surface, in my properties window here, I can see it's standard style, and I want it to be the style of my company. We also have these pipe networks that are not the style of pipe networks and structures that I like. So what we can do is go ahead and change these in one click. So let's go to manage here, and let's look at the script real quick here first. Kind of open this guy up in Dynamo to take a quick peek, and then we'll actually just run it right from Civil Dynamo Player here. So if I'm gonna come out here, we can look at all these different items here. So I have, for example, under surfaces, so right here this guy on the left is just current document. Then let's investigate this surfaces one. So it's going to say I have a node here for surfaces. From document, grab all the surfaces in it. Then I have this get style node. And this list flatten is something you'll often use. That sort of turns this list into something Dynamo can use. Right here I have list all instances of style, and my existing one is standard. I have the list, get these items, and then I have set style node here, which is saying I want it to be slope banding, and that's going to be my style name, all of that there. So I have the same thing here, real similar with pipe network structures, pipes, and alignments and profile views here. So we can be organizing them how we want. So let's close that guy. Let's go into Dynamo Player, and we'll go ahead and look at this guy here. Once again, like we did on the circle one, we'll click on this little icon in the middle here. If you click on the pencil, it just takes you into Dynamo to be able to actually work on the script there. And right here I have my things. Remember, we set is input. So these are the things that I've told it is input. My desired surface style, slope banding. Existing surface style is standard. Existing alignment is standard, existing profile view, style standard, but I want it in this 8 vertical, 40 horizontal my company uses. Same thing with pipes and pipe styles, so we can go ahead and just hit run on this guy. And now as you see, in that one click, it's turned my surface into slope banding. And it's changed all of our styles in just one click. So if I come in here, that'll hidden under there, but essentially one click and we've changed all of those styles to a style that means something more to us in our company. And we can see that our profile view has changed from whatever weird one that was sent to us to our 8 vertical, 40 horizontal that we like. So with one click there, running that through Player, it'll change every type of style in this document to a style that's our company standard. So let's hop back into our PowerPoint here and talk about some of the processes that Dynamo can do in Civil 3D. So we can extract data from Civil 3D, some selection methods extracting this data. So that was where we were extracting some of these styles and changing them. We can organize and filter data, so we can be grouping and sorting it. We can filter it with booleans, with their true-false statements. We can manipulate this data, update it, import it, sum it. So we looked at a little bit of that, some of these processes which it can do in Civil 3D there. Then let's go ahead and jump right into another one. So let's go ahead and do the C1, this demo script 3. This is going to be create and export points for survey. So what I'm going to do is just input some stuff in a Dynamo. It's going to create points, export these stakeout points along an alignment, any interval along an alignment, and any offset. And it's going to export these directly to a CSV that we can put into our survey instrument. So instead of going through the time-consuming process of creating these points at certain intervals and offsets from my alignment that I want my guys in the field to stake out, I can just put in those inputs into Dynamo and stake those right out from the CSV file that it's going to output. So let's jump back into Dynamo and check this one out. So in Civil 3D here, I have alignment along this road here. What I want to do is stake out some points offset from this alignment at certain intervals along this alignment that then can be exported right to an Excel file. So what we could do is just go right into Dynamo Player, since we've already written this script. Feel free to get in touch with me if you want to see a little bit more of what this script can do. Let's go ahead and click on our little rectangle with the plus there to look at the inputs that we can do into this script. So what we have here is we browse to an Excel export file in the CSV format. We can pick where file we want to export this to. We can pick the offset from the alignment, so negative to the left or positive to the right, any offset we want, and then the interval along that alignment, and then we pick the alignment name, and then we select which surface we want to grab those elevations from. So this is going to give us a station, northing, easting, and elevation offset from those. So we could come into Dynamo Player, anyone in the company, you don't have to know how to do any Dynamo stuff. And you could just have this script when you want to go ahead and export some alignment points. So we would just click Browse here and select that Excel file, and let's just click Run on this guy here. And now we have it run. So we can just pick our Excel file that it just created, and it went ahead and exported these points. So I have my stationing, I have my northing, my easting, and my elevation. So now we can load that right into a survey gun and go ahead and stake those out. So we could change our interval here to every 50 feet, We could change our offset side, anything we want, and boom, we have those points created and exported and ready to be staked out in the field. So once again, a mundane task that could take quite a bit of time, creating those points, exporting them. With one click in Dynamo, we can have those points ready to go. Let's jump back into our slide deck here. So some of these processes which are available in Dynamo, manipulating some of this Civil 3D data, updating Civil 3D data, maybe applying some math to the Civil 3D data, and we can be increasing values incrementally, taking away any of those type of things that we would want to do through the whole document. Importing data into Civil 3D, which we're going to look at in our final demo coming up here. Setting parameter values, making something a type or an instance, and kind of summing this data by areas of elements, by its location. Some of this logic here in the summing logic, we obtain Civil 3D objects like we did with those pipe networks and then set the styles. Obtain the surface style and applied another one, same thing with those points. So we can be grouping elements on criteria, obtaining values from those grouped elements, and we can sum up those values, or we can write sums to host elements. So we can really do a lot of that data manipulation right there in Dynamo, quite automated. So some of these other solutions, we can find these excuses to work mundane tasks into routine and have them become more efficient. So as we saw with that previous one, a common thing we're doing, creating stakeout points for our surveyors, we can automate that, tweak that script, and do any kind of export we want of that data. So we can extract data from Civil 3D, we can organize and filter data, or we can be manipulating that Civil 3D data. So can really do a lot of these things here. So let's go check out this last one here, demo script 4. What we're going to do is import a point file, create a point group, and a surface. So this is multiple steps in Civil 3D. Grab the CSV file with your points, put those points into point groups, and build a surface. So something we're doing all the time as civil engineers. And this is a way we can just, in one click, have a surface built. The style that we want that surface, the layer we want that surface on, and create the point groups that are going to build that surface. So right here, a step that we're doing on every project that can take quite a bit of time. Let's check out in Dynamo how we can do that with just a couple clicks. So jump back into Civil 3D here, and we're just in a blank document, so started from your company template, just a blank document with nothing. We're starting this new project. We want to import some points, put them into point groups, create a surface of the style that we like. So let's go ahead and click on our Dynamo thing. Once again, under our Manage tab, we'll come into this Dynamo imports. I've got one here, import points, make into group, and surface. So if we check this out, we have our code here that is going to do all of that in one click. So we have essentially our starting far over here. We have our document where we're choosing this file path, this Excel file. So once again, remember, we're importing data into Excel. Just grabbing that file from the path. And then we have this data import Excel node. So it's telling us what sheet name, those type of things in Excel. Then transposing this list into get items, our code block, our points by coordinates, and coming through here to where we're going to create this. So once again, these things look kind of crazy with all of these lines and nodes and things, but it's relatively simple when you get going on it. So let's go ahead here with our Dynamo Player and see how anyone in our company can kind of access this data here. So we'll come in to our import points, make into group and surface. Click on our input button here. And what we're going to do is just this one, all we need to do is choose the file path. So I can come here and browse. Go right into my files here that I have set up. The CSV that the surveyor exported out of their survey instrument here. And all we need to do is come in, tell it which file we want, and Dynamo will do the rest. So this particular one is putting it into these groups and creating these surfaces, but you can go ahead and do about any function you want. So you can tweak this script, you can make it a little bit different, you can make it a little bit better. Really, you can do a lot of different things with these scripts. Alright, let's grab the file we want. I want this large survey CSV here. So go ahead and click that and hit open. And now my file path is pointing to that. And now all I have to do is hit play. And it will run this script here. Our old duplicate point name pop up. And now once this finishes processing, we will have a surface and point groups created. As you can see on the left here, we don't have any point groups at the moment in this drawing at all, and we don't have any surfaces. So once this script runs, we should be populating point groups, and just like that, our surface is created. Our point group EG is created. We told it to call it existing grade and to make a surface out of it. So with that one click, we were able to import all these points, put them into point groups, and create a surface. So right, a decent time saver there. And these things can all be built upon. We can expand on these scripts to make them more and more functional and add any of these things we want. Let's hop back into our slideshow here. So here's some extended resources. There's an official website for Dynamo just called dynamobim.com. And this thing I've highlighted in yellow here, this forum.dynamobim.com Civil 3D group. So this group is like gold. If you get into it, if you have questions, you can really be posting them on this forum, and people are just wonderful about answering your questions, collaborating on things, sharing code that they've made. So out of all these extended resources, this one is the most important, I would say. This forum, dynamobim.com. We also have a user's guide here, Dynamo Primer, a node dictionary that kind of goes through this dictionary within Dynamo where we looked up those packages. Next to that, there's sample files. So there's some, they give you a dozen or so that Autodesk has created that you can go find there. Another great thing that I do is just watching videos on it. There's not as much out there right now on the Civil 3D side as there is on the Revit side. It's much more developed there. But if you just kind of Google around Dynamo Civil 3D, especially under AutoCAD University, you'll find some great ones that can really get you started. You can be hitting pause and catching your script up with those videos. So those are the two things I would recommend the most, probably, is going to this forum.dynamo.bim. As you get going, like any forum, you want to have something to contribute also. So as you get going, and just Googling these videos, these Civil 3D Dynamo, just Googling that over and over, watching YouTube videos really helps you get up to speed, and find some of these things that you want to do. And then the other thing is just to come up with something you want to do. So a lot of what Dynamo is this super powerful solution looking for problems. So come up with a problem, come up with something that's causing your company a lot of time, and explore using Dynamo to solve that problem. So some of these next steps here would be download Civil 3D 2020 or later. So you can add it to some earlier versions, but once you move over to 2020, you'll have it right there under your Manage tab. It's just included in the software right from the install. And anyone who's on 18 still, I know a lot of people are on 18. 2020 and 18 share the same base version, so you don't have any data loss or any conversion of versions when you go from 18 to 2020 or 2020 to 18. So they work seamlessly. So does 2021. So there hasn't been a version change between 18 and 21. So don't worry about collaborating with other people in your company. You can really, it's seamless going between 18 and 2020. And then you just go to that Manage tab, click on Dynamo, and download that Civil 3D Toolkit package. So you do these steps up here, and you're going. You're rolling. You have what you need to start doing it. And then just mess around. What's a task you want to automate? What's something that's causing your organization a lot of time? What's something that you're wasting time on, that you're not able to make money on? Or do accurate? Go ahead and look at automating it. And just ask yourself, what's a cool thing you wish Civil 3D could do? You know, if there's something that you say, oh, I love Civil 3D, but I wish it could do this, just go ahead and look at how you can create it to do that. You know, you're essentially now empowered to be a software developer. You're empowered to write API. It's no longer just in the wheelhouse of people who are computer programmers. We can go ahead and just be doing it. So also, as I said, look around, you know, Google Civil 3D Dynamo videos, find stuff out there, and it takes some time. So it is a fairly steep learning curve, I will say, right at first. You know, when you first start to try to create these things, it's a little bit daunting, you know. As we looked at some of those spaghetti looking scripts, it looked a little daunting, but once you jump into it, once you kind of get over that first hump of the learning curve, it really all starts to make sense. So, you know, you really need to dedicate some hours right up front to getting yourself over that hump. But once you do, you'll be pretty amazed at the power that is available there. So that ends our presentation here on Dynamo in Civil 3D and being able to bring maximum efficiencies to your Civil 3D design process. My email here is nick.turner@mg-aec.com. I would encourage you to email me any questions. I love sharing knowledge on this type of thing with anybody out there. So you get playing around, you have some questions, feel free to email me. We also offer a class every month on Dynamo and Civil 3D. So it's a quick class. It's just a 4-hour deal. So if you want to kind of get over that hump quickly, kind of efficiently, and get some confidence for you or members of your team, come to us and you can take that 4-hour class and really kind of get there. So thank you everybody for listening in here. Thank you to ACEC for putting on this great conference, and even though we had to do this virtually and we don't get to have free beers together, we still get to kind of collaborate as a community. So I would kind of take that community idea a step and just email me anytime you have any questions. So thank you to everybody out there listening, and thank you to the organizers of this great event, and we'll see you all in person next year. So everyone stay safe out there and enjoy the rest of the warm weather until it really starts to turn here.